Let's talk about properties. So in other programming languages, such as Java, we also follow the best practice of keeping fields private. But whenever we're trying to access or change the value of the fields, we use methods known as accessors or modifiers, or also known as mutators. Now, accessors are basically just methods that get the field value and then display it out, or just return it back. And you can do whatever you want with it. Then there's modifiers or mutators that take a value from the user and they assign that to the field. So that's how we interact with classes fields. In C#, properties do the same exact thing, just in a much cleaner way. And that's how we expose data out of our class, is through properties. So let me go ahead and create a property. I will say public string, and then I will say first name, and then get and set. So this is a property. Now I'll actually create another one and then go over it. So first and then last. First name, last name. So here, this is known as auto-implemented property or auto property. The reason is because it doesn't have a backing field. Now, what is this backing field? The backing field is the field within the class that we want to expose out to the world or to other classes, right? And we can do that, but we don't have to. Fields can be just fields not connected to the properties, and properties can be independent of fields, but we can use them together in conjunction, and that's the point. So in this case, as I said, this is an auto-implemented property, and last name, first name are both auto properties. And what that means is that whenever you use the set reserved keyword, which you do by accessing the property using the dot notation, and if you assign values to this property, then it's going to assign a value to it. Get will allow you to get that value that you have assigned. Can go ahead and do this very quickly by saying first name, see dot notation, you use that, and then we can just say Avidas, and we can say Gukasian. So there you go. Now we have assigned values to the properties. The way we can access the value from the property is by just using that. So in this case, I can print it out. I can say red line, and I can say that's, that'll basically print the first name and the last name as well if I access it. So that's great. But what if we actually need to have a backing field? Well, let me go ahead and create another property that does just that. So I will have another one that says public bool and says has proper documents. So this will be a property that will be using a backing array. Not currently, because it's still an auto-implemented array. It's just public, and then the type will be bool, and the name has proper documents, and it has get and set on it. Now also, properties don't really have to have the set or the get. You can do either of those. In this case, I can just say I just want to get the first name, but I don't want to set it. And by taking it out, it'll do just that. It won't allow you to set a value to it, but it makes sense to be able to set first name and last name. So in this case, let's say that has proper documents can't be set, but it can't be gotten. So what I will do is do just that. And see, I have a code block after the get, so I have curly braces, and this block just says you define what you want to get. In this case, I will say, well, whenever you're returning the value for this property, do the following. Use these backing fields and say if ssn.length is greater than 0 and passport data.length is greater than 0 and the driver's license number is greater than 0, well, the length is greater than 0, then return the value of that, because this is a Boolean expression and it will return a Boolean value. This is not the best way to validate your documents, but this is a very simple example. That's why I'm keeping it simple here. So it's just saying as long as it has stuff in it, that's valid. So I will actually put stuff in it. I will say SSN, and passport data will just have thing called data, and the driver's license will also have some stuff called more data. Great. So let's go ahead and now print that as well. The first name and the last name will just print Avidas Gukasian, and then this, let's see what it will print. I will breakpoint right here, and then let's see. So see here, it says true, meaning the documents were properly entered, right, as the proper documents. What if I take out the SSN? What will happen? If we access that property now, you will see that it's false. And that's exactly the beauty of properties, because they abstract away the fields. So in other words, properties are a layer of abstraction on top of the fields. You don't really have to know about these fields to know whether the proper documents have been filled out, right? Yet the fields are private, but we can give out an information based on that, right? So we can give out information based on our fields that are private. In this case, we're just letting the world know that this person has the proper documents. You don't need to know their specific SSN, the password data, and the driver's license number. It just says that it has the proper documents. So now, let's actually go ahead and see how we can define code in the set. So let's say the business requirements change and we say that the first name and the last name, whenever we assign values to them, we can't really do this. So we can't assign nothing to it. So I will do just that. I will, after all this, I will just say, well, I'm trying to assign nothing to the first name. What will happen? Well, in that case, what will happen is this. And we will see what happens. I'm actually not going to give it away. I will say, I will say first name, and we will see whether the first name will be an empty string or it will still be Avidas. Let's actually test it out now with the code that we have now. And let's see what comes back. See, it says Avidas Gukasian, and then nothing is printed out because it is assigned to an empty string. But what happens if we change the code within set? So actually, let's say now the first name and the last name will have backing fields. So I will say first name is Avidas and last name is Gukasian. Great. So now what we're saying is that in our get, right, we're trying to get the first name field, the first name field. But we also have a set, and within that we also want to have our custom logic. And what we're going to say here, actually, there you go, I needed that, accidentally took it out. So this block is needed, obviously, and then get and set are within the body of the property. So in here I will say if the value is less than 1, then I will console write line something, say, input is not accepted, and I will basically use this branching statement to get out of it all. And that way I won't hit the last line, which is going to say first name equals value, which is basically the value that will be assigned to the first name, which is the backing field. Now you might be asking, what is this value? And this is a reserved keyword that is basically is going to represent the value that you have assigned to the property. And this is a reserved keyword. Once again, we can use it in the context of set. And let's just copy and paste that into our last name. Once again, do not repeat yourself. Would follow that we would have to take this out and put it in a method, but I'm not going to make this example clean. This is just to show you how you can customize your get and set and do calculations within them. So I will say last name and last name here. And let's see now what happens. I will actually breakpoint right here, and you will see that this will also hit that. So now the first time it'll say that the first name, because we're right here, right now we're right here, and it's saying that it's trying to assign a value to it. What is this value? It's Avidas. Wow, so that's what's passed in. That's what we're trying to assign to the property. Let's see if that is less than 1. It's not. So it is fine to assign to the first name. And if we go down and do everything and we print, the first name is Avidas, last name is Gukasian. However, we're going to print has proper documents as well. And then here's the interesting part. See, value is less than the length. So it's less than 1. So value is less than 1, and that's why we're going to say input is not accepted and just get out of there. And first name will never be assigned to anything. So if we hover over it, first name is still Avidas, even though it looks like we've assigned an empty string to it. And if we print, this time Avidas is back. And so, input is not accepted, and then it says Avidas, because the empty string was never assigned to it. So this is the beauty of properties, and this is how you can use it with fields. Once again, they can be independently used, but this is how you would use them if you want to use them together. And that's it.